Pro-Palestinian protesters using a new tactic tonight, a strike by academic workers expanding to 2 more college campuses. Good evening. Welcome to West Coast Wrap. I'm Alex Savage. That rolling strike began last week at UC Santa Cruz, and today academic workers at UCLA and UC Davis joined the walkout meant to show solidarity with the pro-Palestinian movement. As Fox 11's Matthew Seedorf explains, the striking employees are upset about how university leaders have responded to recent campus protests.
Hello, comrades.
UCLA workers walking off the job, ordering a strike. Researchers and graduate teacher assistants with the UAW 4811 union upset with how the university handled recent pro-Palestinian demonstrations.
Exercise your legally protected right to refuse truck labor and, if necessary, to stop work altogether.
The union workers Tuesday holding a rally on Bruin Walk.
What do we want? Protection of free speech.
Picketing over what they call unfair labor practices, striking until the university discloses and divests funds relating to Israel and protesters receive amnesty.
So research will be put on hold, grades will be withheld.
I'm saddened by the recent turmoil on our campus.
UCLA Chancellor Gene Block, testifying before Congress last week, questioned over his handling of the pro-Palestinian protest.
The militarization of our university has only continued.
About 200 people put in handcuffs, including union members who they claim were hurt by police.
Workers at the university have been facing severe repercussions and consequences for that activity.
I don't really understand how the China union is turning this from a labor dispute into a protest for political means.
Some UCLA students frustrated by the union's labor strike, calling it political.
Our papers aren't getting graded, our finals are getting canceled, we're getting bad grades because our TAs don't want to work.
Disclose.
A spokesperson from UCLA Tuesday says their focus is to support students getting ready for finals, adding students want to hear the professors teach, not the piercing sounds of trumpets, drums, and slogans being shouted right outside their classroom windows.
And that was Fox 11's Matthew Seedorf reporting tonight. As we mentioned earlier, union workers at UC Davis also hitting the picket lines as well. They say UC leaders violated the free speech rights of student protesters who oppose the Israel-Hamas war. UC leaders requested an injunction calling the strike illegal, but the Public Employment Relations Board rejected that request. Union leaders say action must be taken so UC employees aren't intimidated or punished for speaking up for causes they believe in. ACLU workers sent a letter to UC Irvine's chancellor expressing serious concerns over how the school handled recent protests. They're especially concerned the school used interim suspensions and campus bans to punish students and workers who were arrested. They also say some students are coming forward saying they're facing administrative holds because their names were on paperwork tied to protests, not because there are any allegations against them specifically. The letter reads in part, "If true, these holds are punishing students for their association with student organizations and the viewpoints expressed by those organizations in violation of federal and state free speech protections. We ask that you immediately retract the interim suspension notices and campus bans." And we asked UC Irvine Chancellor Howard Gilman to comment on the letter. We are still waiting for a response. A doctor from the San Francisco Bay Area has returned home after spending several weeks trapped in Gaza. Her medical mission was extended indefinitely after the border closed there. KTVU's Ann Rubin spoke with her about that harrowing experience.
San Carlos doctor Haleh Sheikh al-Islami traveled to Gaza hoping to help. Little did she realize she'd be trapped there when the border closed.
Which meant not only for us not being able to come out, but it meant no aid coming in.
Suddenly, an already meager supply of medicine in Rafah dwindled. There was Tylenol and not much else. Often, Sheikh al-Islami could diagnose her patients but had no way to treat them.
We try to help patients as much as you can. It's hard when you don't have the tools to help patients, or patients you know who should be hospitalized but can't be because there's just no room for them.
Back home, the doctor's family feared for her safety and tried desperately to get her out. Finally, on May 24th. After 3.5 weeks in Gaza, an armored convoy escorted her through to Jordan. It was not a moment too soon. She says there were airstrikes right near her clinic.
Actually, I was watching a video yesterday. It was exact area that I worked. I saw the bodies being laid right there and the white sheet coverings they have in the room that I usually worked at.
Sheikh al-Islami says she's grateful she made it home, but that she'll never forget what she saw in Gaza.
It's hard, and a very bittersweet moment when I realized, I could go, I'm leaving this state, but, not the others cannot.
The doctor says in some ways it's hard to be back knowing the people she left behind, but she says she would consider returning to Gaza once the fighting stops and the rebuilding begins. In Mountain View, Ann Rubin, KTVU Fox 2 News.
Tonight, the phrase "all eyes on Rafah" is trending on social media as the global condemnation of Israel grows louder. At least 45 Palestinians, including women and children, were killed Sunday night following an airstrike that resulted in a fire burning through their refugee camp. The Israeli military now says the munitions used in their strikes were small and not intended to ignite the fire, going on to claim it was caused by a secondary explosion. Many of Israel's allies are condemning the decision to continue with the Rafah offensive. And here in the U.S., Israeli support is continuing to splinter.
Still don't believe that a major ground operation in Rafah is warranted. We still don't want to see the Israelis, as we say, smash into Rafah with large units over large pieces of territory. Every single loss of innocent life should be prevented as much as possible.
Also tonight, the Pentagon now says the pier built by U.S. forces to expedite the delivery of aid to starving Palestinians has been damaged by rough seas and will need to be removed and repaired. The pier opened less than 2 weeks ago, and the fixes are expected to take several days. The state of Idaho finished calling rebuttal witnesses today in the triple murder trial of Chad Daybell. The state finished questioning the doctor who performed the autopsy on one of the victims, a retired police detective and a lieutenant. Chad Daybell is accused of murdering his wife's 2 children from Arizona and killing his first wife, Tammy Daybell, in order to capitalize on her insurance policies. Closing arguments are scheduled for tomorrow. An effort to clear Scott Peterson's name could move forward tomorrow. He is set to appear virtually in a San Francisco Bay Area courtroom from the prison where he is serving a life sentence. In 2002, a jury convicted Peterson of murdering his wife Lacey and their unborn son. He is now getting help from a team of lawyers from the LA Innocence Project. They're requesting DNA testing for items gathered during the original murder investigation. Prosecutors say there is no need for DNA testing because other evidence convicted Peterson. Attorneys for David DePape, the man convicted of attacking former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's husband with a hammer, had appearances in 2 courtrooms today. In federal court, he faced the judge who sentenced him on May 17th to 30 years in prison. In that original sentencing hearing, DePape was not given the opportunity to speak in his own defense. And today, DePape did address the court, saying about Paul Pelosi, quote, "I never meant to hurt him," and, quote, "I feel horribly for hurting Mr. Pelosi." The judge said that his defense team does have the right to appeal.
They forgot to go through that formality, and everybody agreed it was a mistake. So now it's been corrected. So yes, it creates a point of appeal, but it's not going to be successful because what an appellate court will do is they will say, yes, it was an error, but it was corrected.
DePape also had a hearing today about whether his state trial should proceed. His defense team argued that he can't be prosecuted in 2 courts for the same crimes. The judge deferred making a ruling on that issue. That means the state case will get underway tomorrow. The FBI is now getting involved in the case of a missing woman believed to be in Mexico. Fox 13's Alejandra Guzman spoke with the woman's mother, who is desperate to be reunited with her daughter.
Where's my little girl?
Stacy Hurd has been pleading for an answer for the last 14 months. Her youngest daughter, 17-year-old Shelby Dwyer, left on a road trip to Tijuana, Mexico in March of 2023 with someone she allegedly trusted. Stacy worried, but the teen said it would only be for a few days.
She's a go-getter, you know.
Shelby stayed in touch, calling and sending pictures of her trip. She made it to Tijuana, but that's when things started to fall off course.
She just disappeared.
FBI officials believe Shelby jumped on a flight down to Guadalajara before making it to Culiacan, Sinaloa.
After 2 days, her phone didn't ping and...
Distraught, Stacy quickly looped in Des Moines police. Looking back now, the mom recalls her daughter packing and leaving quickly, but only a few days worth. It's been over a year now since she's seen or heard from her.
I want Shelby back. I miss her so bad.
The FBI has since stepped in to work with Mexican authorities to help find Shelby.
We're concerned because when Shelby left, she was 17. Well, she's 18 now. That's a vulnerable age for anyone to be traveling in a foreign country.
When Shelby left, there was a travel advisory for the state of Sinaloa. The Department of State warning people not to travel as crime and kidnappings were widespread.
I don't think she knew she was going to a dangerous place. And now she's missing.
It's unclear why Shelby traveled to this part of Mexico. Sinaloa is not typically a popular destination as it's known for criminal organizations being based and operating here. But Stacy isn't giving up. She's holding out hope someone knows something. There's a $5,000 reward for anyone with any information that helps bring Shelby home.
That I love you and keep strong, little girl. And you're going to come home. I promise you. Just be strong.
And that was Fox 13's Alejandra Guzman reporting tonight. The FBI offering a $5,000 reward for information that leads agents to Shelby Dwyer. Vice President Kamala Harris is planning to head west next week. A venue in San Francisco that's known for its political events says it plans to host the vice president next Wednesday, June 5th. She's expected to fundraise and take part in a discussion about the upcoming presidential election. Coming up for us tonight here on West Coast Wrap, a cruise ship in the Pacific changes course after an emergency call. Tonight, how the ship's crew helped the Coast Guard to rescue a group of boaters stranded at sea. Also, Narcan is supposed to save lives, but first responders are worried some are using the overdose reversal drug all wrong. They will share tonight how to know when it will help.
And in weather, some parts of the West Coast, we're tracking some rainfall. Other parts of the West Coast, triple-digit heat. And that's what we have in Phoenix right now with a few high clouds drifting overhead. We'll have the forecast update coming up.
Firefighters across the West are being called in to help fight a large wildfire in New Mexico. The Blue 2 fire has burned more than 7,000 acres of mountainous terrain with no containment tonight. A social media post shows firefighters from Wyoming working to help put out the flames here. Crews from Arizona have also been called in. The Blue 2 fire is burning about 180 miles south of Albuquerque in the Lincoln National Forest. Evacuation orders do remain in effect for a few small communities in this area. Warm, windy conditions have really been a challenge for firefighters. It was lightning that started this fire back on May 16th. And tonight, a wildfire in southern Nevada is a clear sign that fire season is ramping up. The Bird Springs fire is burning southwest of Las Vegas inside the Red Rock Canyon National Conservation Area. Authorities say someone who was target shooting started this fire yesterday. It's burned about 150 acres. Crews have the fire 70% contained tonight, and they do expect full containment by the end of the night. Tonight, authorities outside Portland say they've arrested a man who is suspected of vandalizing cars for several months. Investigators say that suspect was found with a slingshot and ball bearings. Fox 12's Connor McCarthy talked to neighbors in the city of Forest Grove who say they're glad to find out someone has finally been taken into custody.
Well, 28-year-old Caleb Spurlock was arrested last Friday on E Street after a 7-month-long investigation by local law enforcement. Investigators say just minutes before he was arrested, he's also accused of using a slingshot and shooting ball bearings at a car that was passing by. Now, this is just one of many victims over the last few months. Forest Grove police say there are a total of 12 victims who reported damage to their cars after being hit by an unknown projectile in the area around E Street and Pacific Avenue. These photos photos released by police show you some of the damage. A broken window and shattered glass, all allegedly caused by Spurlock launching ball bearings at cars with a slingshot. These photos show you the slingshot and the ball bearings found on Spurlock when he was arrested around 10:30 Friday night. We spoke to drivers in the area and they're happy no one got seriously hurt.
I'm over here probably like 3 to 4 times a week, and that is very surprising to hear. I had no idea. There's a lot of really young kids that walk right there, and that's very worrying.
I'm grateful that no one got injured in another way, so thank God for that.
Spurlock was booked at the Washington County Jail on charges of criminal mischief and unlawful use of a weapon. Now, Spurlock is no stranger to the law. Just last month, he pleaded guilty in Multnomah County for property damage at a dealership in Portland. In Forest Grove, Connor McCarthy, Fox 12 Oregon.
Well, here's your West Coast weather update. Some parts of the West Coast, we're talking about triple digits. Other parts, we're tracking some showers and some thunderstorms. As you can see here, moving out of Colorado right now, the thunderstorms really developing once again. And once again, the focal point is out toward portions of Texas as well. Also tracking some clouds and some showers, moving mainly in the Washington area right now, but in the Seattle area, lots of clouds in place. In fact, this was a scene today in Seattle. Temperature today maxing out in right around 60 degrees, mainly in the 50s this afternoon. And in San Francisco, some low clouds and fog this morning, but cleared out nicely this afternoon. Temperatures in the lower 60s. And in the Phoenix area, that's where we find the heat. 106 degrees for today, and they'll have another round of triple digits in the forecast for tomorrow. Right now, it's 101 in Phoenix. Salt Lake City is 85. Portland, Oregon reporting 59 degrees, and in San Francisco, temperatures in the lower 60s. Los Angeles only in the upper 50s, 58 degrees. So here's the plan tomorrow. Some cool showers in the Seattle area with maybe some thunderstorms as well. Tracking some more thunderstorms out toward the Denver area. It's hot out toward parts of Arizona and Southern California. Some patchy morning fog, and then temperatures on track to reach the lower 70s for tomorrow afternoon for Los Angeles. In the Sierra, this was the scene April 30th. Look at all that snowpack there, looking out toward beautiful Lake Tahoe. Fast forward that to today, May 28th, and the snowpack kind of melting away as you would expect this time of year, but still some pretty sights looking out toward Lake Tahoe. And of course, here's that real hot forecast for Phoenix, as you can see, approaching triple-digit territory early tomorrow afternoon, actually by mid-afternoon, 100, 101 to possibly 102 degrees. In terms of the rainfall here, you can see the forecast model once again as we put this into motion in your Wednesday forecast. Some clouds, some rain showers up in the Seattle area with the possibility of some thunderstorms. Also watching some more activity out toward parts of the Rockies for tomorrow. But as you can see for California, from Eureka down toward the Bay Area, down towards Los Angeles, we have at least a sunny forecast with some patchy fog in the morning hours. So here's a look ahead, your 3-day forecast. And there you go up in Seattle. There's that rain cloud for tomorrow. For San Francisco, it's a warming pattern for Wednesday. Thursday, not too much change. And if you want the triple digits, we have multiple days of some hot temperatures, as you can see. Alex here. Phoenix, 103, 104, 106 degrees. Wow. So the heat is building in for this portion of the West Coast.
Yeah, if you want the heat, you know where to find it.
There you go,
right.
yeah.
Mark, thank you. Yeah. The crew of a Carnival cruise ship helped to rescue 25 people who were stranded at sea. The ship was off the coast of Ensenada, Mexico on Saturday when the Coast Guard put out a call about people in a small boat who needed help. Carnival's Radiance answered that distress call, diverting course to rescue the group. The ship's crew offered everyone on the small boat food, water, and medical assistance until a Coast Guard crew could take over. Carnival and the Coast Guard have not said why the small boat ran into trouble or who was on board. The cruise ship's tourist itinerary was not affected. Coming up tonight here on West Coast Wrap, reaching for Narcan at the wrong time. Tonight, some guidelines from first responders who are seeing more people reaching for the overdose reversal drug when they don't need to. Plus, honoring lost loved ones in Hawaii, the inspiration for this moving sunset ceremony. Tonight, 2 major charitable donations from West Coast donors. First off, Washington philanthropist Melinda French Gates is making a huge donation in support of women's rights. She's donating $1 billion over the next 2 years to people and organizations working on behalf of women and families globally, including organizations here in the U.S. that support reproductive rights. Earlier this month, she announced she would step down from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and vowed to focus on women and families. Also, OpenAI CEO Sam Altman says he is pledging to donate most of his wealth to charity. Altman initially founded the San Francisco-based company as a nonprofit research lab dedicated to safely building artificial intelligence for humanity's benefits. Now, Altman says he wants to focus on philanthropic technology that helps create abundance for people. In Las Vegas, a local ambulance group says some people are misusing Narcan. Fox 5's Shana Kalafi spoke to first responders about how to spot someone who actually needs the overdose reversal drug.
By us being able to get it in the hands of more people, it's allowing us to use them in those emergency situations. What Narcan is not doing, what the education is not necessarily doing, is telling you when not to push Narcan.
Senior Director of Community Ambulance Glenn Simpson says there seems to be some confusion about when and how to administer Narcan, meant to treat opioid overdoses only.
Somebody who's unconscious, unresponsive, their respirations are shallow, their pulse may be weak, that is clinically the patient that we want to administer Narcan to.
All symptoms that could indicate an opioid overdose or a number of other health conditions not treatable with Narcan.
For example, somebody who's going into a diabetic coma maybe exhibit those exact same signs. Cardiac arrest, they're going to exhibit those same signs. So those are the individuals that know Narcan's not going to work.
Another misuse of Narcan may be someone passed out drunk with no opioids in their system. But if there's even a chance they could have ingested an opioid, prescribed or possibly laced, Simpson says go ahead and administer the Narcan because the risk is relatively low.
There are no long-term side effects that we're aware of. Short-term side effects are very minimal. The most severe probably being somebody that may be allergic to it.
And if you do have to administer Narcan, he says call 911 immediately.
And that was Fox 5's Shana Kalafi reporting for us tonight. Narcan blocks opioid receptors to reverse the effects of drugs like heroin, codeine, and fentanyl. Health experts say even though the person may regain consciousness after taking it, they are still likely in need of medical care. And finally tonight, thousands of people filled Honolulu's Ala Moana Beach for the 25th annual Shinyo Lantern Ceremony. Yesterday's festival was a way to give the community a space to honor loved ones who have passed away. Participants row out into the ocean and they place lanterns like offerings into the sea. Lanterns are sometimes decorated either with flags or photos. The lantern lights are known for creating this stunning sight, this memorial display as the sun goes down. Really a beautiful scene there in the waters off of Hawaii, and a very moving sight for the people who are involved in this tribute to their loved ones. We'll leave you with that for tonight. That does it for West Coast Wrap. We appreciate you watching. As always, you can keep up to date on all the stories we are covering at westcoastwrap.com. You can also stream all of our shows on your smart TV using the free Fox Local app. Have a great rest of your night.